Greetings, Earthlings. George Washington, his parents, his grandparents, and his older brothers were all born in America, and this was before GPS. That happened when George was 7 years old, a child. Um, so that changed the world. GPS, before that, it was a different place, but time at that point changed. Okay, so before that, there was no global time. Time was local, but the world fundamentally changed, and George Washington was the one guy who we see who has a paternal uncle, a strong mother, strong father figures, a diverse community, and incidentally, a little sister, but no big sister. Okay, so you see this statistic in the spokesman of America because it's some sort of moral equivalency to protection. So like a mother and her baby, like Jesus and Mary, basically the Virgin. You know, the little sister you might think is innocent. So this is just a natural American reality because of our geography. So he doesn't get the education that he's supposed to get, and this changes the world fundamentally because it divides the world. And so it's his mother who says, you know, oh, we need more slaves. Basically, you know, George will be the slave, and what happens is the people, the officers and the generals are targeted by the rebels in the American Revolution, which George is like the main element of it. It's America. So you have to understand that if he has the education, if he has the way to get out of America, then the fundamentals change, and the officers and the generals can then protect science, okay? And I don't mean just anything science, because that could include war. If your technology can do anything, and if that's what you say it can do, then war and genocide is going to happen positively, okay? Let's say in the Middle East, if you don't have that moral tradition of moral intentions and training and tradition, whatever it is, tradition of moral, you know, learning and concern. So this is the war in the Middle East. This is the Civil War. Okay, I was born in Georgia, and if you care about peace in the Middle East, you have to understand the American Civil War itself, which incidentally happened after the potato famine, about 20 years after the potato famine. Okay, so there would have been a generation of Irish people in America at that point who might, be Whig, be little, bewitched, whatever it is. The Whig party, didn't want to expand endlessly. They say, New York is fine, let's stay in the castle, some animals out there, right? But it could also be George Washington, and he could save the world and allow greatness to happen. Okay, that's exactly what's going on, okay? But if you don't see the Middle East conflict and the Civil War in America, the North and the South, okay, because my grandparents and parents all grew up in the North. Well, born and raised in the North. I'm the only one who grew up in the South and grew up on the Mason-Dixon line, in fact, on the West Coast. Okay, this is a geometric singularity, or I don't know. I have to research this stuff. When I say stuff, even if I get it right, I want to understand it so that, and I want to be in a responsible position. Okay, so if technology is happening and anything can happen, then you're saying you don't care if genocide happens. You have to. If you do not care, then say so. Say, you want genocide? Just we've got an app for that. Okay, that if nobody's from California in Silicon Valley, who has a strong paternal influence and a little sister and a paternal uncle, and their parents are all from a different time before GPS. So the computers wouldn't exist without clocks and GPS and the ancient sort of technology developers. And to have that, you have to have a secure world. Otherwise, the rebels will in fact prey on whoever they want to. They'll prey on scientists, they'll prey on Einstein, they'll prey on the most intelligent and gifted people if you do not give a flying duck a castle to roost in. Otherwise, you're saying genocide, that's okay, anything, you can do anything, sort of this insane cop-out. So slavery, which George Washington was born into and was considered legitimate, I mean, they were the smart people, okay? They weren't better, they were just smarter. That's all it was, okay? More rational. And technology can save us. It can solve my homeland. A lot of our homelands are in conflict because we left, because of poverty, because there was confusion. There was, in fact, GPS that drove a whole lot of us out here. I believe the original Puritans were driven by Gutenberg, not by GPS. The printing press allowed people to build ships and allowed them to make perfect, unambiguous Bibles, books that were all the same, which originally, if you had to write each one before Gutenberg, more or less, each book could be a little different, but once they were all the same, the ships were the same, it was just like GPS, global reality. Okay, you could say position, but what is your position? War? Is it, the position of genocide, the position of anything? Or is it a position of perfection? What do you want? Do you want genocide? Because all you have to do is play dumb. Charlie Chaplin comes out to California right before the Great War, and he's still doing it big time right before World War II and the Holocaust. It's fun to be alienated, to not have the grounding that we need to do the right thing, okay? To make technology, to make the world beautiful and fantastic, and not sort of spazzing out, oh my God, this is kind of scaring me. No. But if we work together, we can develop technology that can do the right thing, not just hide your demented pornography or something like that, or whatever photograph of whatever cop-out, whatever political conspiracy you are, thinking about burning castles, perhaps, destroying anything. Okay, you can make fun of stuff if you are far enough away from it, and that message, by the time it gets there with GPS and the computer and this stuff, it is traveling faster than anyone can comprehend. The stuff, it just, Charlie Chaplin is in Hollywood. Hollywood's making these movies, and they're making movies with people who have no strong mother, no paternal figure, no family, no little sister, no childhood experience there, no actual Christian biological fathers, and strong mothers, the nuclear family, and this constellation that can do the right thing if you actually care. Okay, and the thing is, it's the power of God, okay, but getting an education in West America is, you have to show me the case of someone who did it. Because if you're saying, oh, well, you should already believe in everything, well, I don't believe that you are telling the truth. I think you're saying, yeah, I believe genocide would be a great idea. And because there's no case study for anyone who's ever grown up on the frontier with technology and all the users and abusers, okay, so drugs and everything, Um, and this works much better. It works good with just audio. And it also, I don't know, not with an echo, maybe. But you gotta understand, the George Washington, his grandparents and parents were all born in America, okay? And he's got a, this is the constellation. You cannot say you believe if you can't have a single case study. If you cannot say, here is my example, let's find the technology, find God in the technology, fully responsible, fully leveraging the correct whatever it is, because we cannot simply blindly guess at it. You can't say that you believe when you don't have a single case study, okay? And I will be that utter responsibility, absolute science that's going to square off into perfection, but without talking about it, because if we do that, we're just turning into these like psychopaths, like rambling away, okay? But this is, you cannot simply say that you believe in America if you can't show me the George Washington, okay, with exponential zeros, okay? That's because that's all they are, is zeros, okay? Until they have a fortified situation that the world is going to really pay attention to, okay? This is the effect of the spokesman. Okay, this is why you don't see the George Washington, because Hollywood would rather anything such as genocide and war happen. They don't care. They don't have these case studies. Okay, I have looked far and wide, and it's difficult, very, very, especially with this smartphone, it's like almost impossible. The space needs to expand, not contract. Okay, people want to just reduce the computer to a computer chip inside your head, like a cockroach, And so that's what we might become. But instead, you could have the whole hotel. And if it's goodness, and it's not some sort of twisted joke, it's actual God in the building, then the possibilities for complete belief are actually there. Thanks.